Hello and welcome to episode 204 of Masters of the Forge. After a quite the hiatus,
Yeah.
welcome back. Good to have you back, Jason.
Good to be back. Good to be back. Be nice to have
Excellent.
things go back to normal.
Normal.
Well.
Sure, we'll call it that. um it's been quite a month.
Yeah.
I am not sure about this whole doing stuff thing. It's kind of annoying. Like I
Yeah.
haven't I've painted like 21 models this year so far and it's like
hmm
March. So that's a bummer.
Yeah, but you've also been hiking quite a bit.
Mhm.
Unless it was raining, then you weren't hiking, which is a good
Yeah.
idea.
Did go
Um,
hiking.
you also had Quinn's birthday party, and you're not counting painting and repainting and painting again Herbie.
Yeah, we did paint Herbie a few times. We did the
Yeah.
wall mural.
Yeah, oh, and you didn't count the wall mural,
Mm.
so,
I don't know. I'm just tired all the time. It's fine. So hobby progress. I
yeah.
did manage to paint some models.
Yeah.
So I painted the 10 Desolation Marines that they sent us, which was nice.
I forgot. Hold on, I didn't put that in my notes. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we painted those, and boy, those are interesting. I'm not gonna say I hate them
Okay.
because I don't I don't hate them. I don't mind that like they're being carried like rifles when they're these giant missile launchers.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just like I don't know. Like these guys are they're what just missile launchers? Like where's the Where's the I mean you're
Well,
I don't know. I kind of miss the mixture of weapons.
they're just Devastator squads, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah, but where with the Devastator squad that only takes missiles, right?
oh,
Yeah, so it's weird. It's just
yeah.
there's no.
Okay.
So I guess like if you want plasma, you take the plasma guys, which is a totally different unit,
Yeah.
and the Melta guys are a totally different unit. And I think the Melta guys are in like that the heavy armor, and that the heavy intercessors are in the heavy armor.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why? Maybe I'm wrong about the Melta guys, but anyways, and like those guys, those other guys are on 40 millimeter bases. These guys are still on 35s. I don't know
Mhm.
what's going on. I'm very confused about the design strategy
Yeah.
here. Um, I started. I actually started paying for painting phase. I'm doing like I got rid of some things. Like I got rid of a few subscriptions,
Yeah.
and I picked up the painting phase that has Peachy in it now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and uh I missed that part of the conversation, but my buddy was telling me like, yeah, it was basically they knew about the Desolation Marines like a while ago, but
Uh huh.
everybody hated them, so they didn't put them in or something. I don't know, but what they were saying, the part I listened to was like, yeah, I mean, it's usually a thing where they tell them, well, you need to make something that can't be proxied from something else so that people buy them.
okay.
It's like, how many ways have they done missile launcher Space Marines? Like a billion times.
Oh man.
So it makes it tough for them to like put these designs together and have it be different looking.
Yeah.
And that's the direction. So I don't mind it. It's fine. It's just fine.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm not like excited about it. But I painted them, and I painted them in the Aurora chapter colors, and
hmm
they're in my cabinet, and that's where they will stay. I ordered some Aurora chapter decals, 2 sheets of them. They'll never show up, I'm sure. Uh,
Hold on, they'll show up at the same time that you decide you're sick of them and sell them or give them away,
well, yeah. Well, here's the thing.
or the day
I
after.
right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I ordered them from some weird website. I'm sure it's just a front for one of the many fascist armies on in the world. And I just sent them $25 or whatever. Anyways, I painted a full squad of the scions for my rogue traders. Pretty happy with those.
hmm,
Some of the highlights were not as smooth as I was hoping, but I just start getting tired, and I'm like, well, this is just fine.
yeah,
Um, I readied the rest of the normal Scion troopers, got them base coated, not base coated, like primed and
yeah,
stuff. But right now, I need to start focusing on Adepticon.
same.
I have to start cutting foam for the Badlands Titanicus table that I haven't even started yet. That'll be fine as well. Everything is fine. I need to get some rudimentary paint on a set of boarding actions terrain.
Yeah.
Tucker said he'd combine his kill team half with mine to make it like a full table
Oh, nice.
for all of us to have.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna try to like get some kind of paint on that so it's presentable.
Yeah.
Uh, I really need to fight through this sloth that I'm in. I'm like a slothy, gross, like 15 pounds heavier than I was
Yeah.
this like 2 months ago. Winter sucks, so I'm trying
Yeah.
to like not suck. Um, I pre-ordered a set of
Phrasing.
boarding. Yeah, pre-ordered a set of boarding actions bases for the road traders.
Yeah.
Those came out. They match. They match the terrain. I do have some of the Zone Mortalis terrain
Hmm.
from when they were doing that, when
Yeah.
they had those tiles and stuff, and they'll mix just fine. I think I've got a bunch of those, and I'll glue some of the pieces on. The only thing that Zone Mortalis terrain didn't have was 28 mil, which is a new base size.
Okay. Yeah.
The boarding actions train does come with 28 mil. I'm gonna need more, but they come with so much extra basing material that I think it'll be fine to have
Yeah.
a few of these models with not the actual base, but like just covered with the doodads.
That's a good idea.
Mhm. I also ordered a squad of Rattling snipers to
Yes.
go along with them. That'll be 2 squads of Rattlings. I want a third. So talking about Adepticon shopping, I think I'll try to pick up a full unit of Skaven
Okay.
snipers. I know they exist. I know that they exist in different forms. One
Okay.
of them, they're on like a long cavalry base and they're laying on the ground. I'm not sure I want to go with one of those, so I'll see if I can't find something similar rooting through the bits boxes for the Skaven.
Okay.
So that'll give me a different species per unit. Because if you recall, I did do a unit of Gretchen for Rattling snipers or for
Yeah.
Rattling snipers.
All right.
I'll just have literal Rattling snipers, literal Skaven. And I'm gonna pick up a Titanicus game mat if I can't get it. Like, hey, I might order it and see if I can't get it brought to Adepticon
Mm-hmm.
by Table War. If not, I'll just order one like right now.
Last year, Table War had a lot of mats with them. They had a
They did,
lot.
they did. But I kind of want to have a couple with me so we
Yeah.
can play Titanic, like 2 games of Titanicus at the same time. So I'll see about maybe getting them delivered. So that'll be part of my Titanic or my Adepticon purchases. Now I have to remember uh, some of our local guys want me to pick up some BattleTech stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ben and Judgy Mark want me to pick up some stuff, so I'll have to.
Oh, I remember seeing that in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what I've been doing in the hobby. Prep, thinking about preparing for Adepticon and thinking about painting things. And okay, I did paint some things, but
Yeah, you painted quite a bit. You
More
didn't
this
even,
month than last month.
yeah, you didn't even list, Herbie in the murals.
Herbie and the murals, yes,
Yeah.
those were good. What are you up to, buddy?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to apologize to everyone for not getting a second episode out last month.
How? And I
Yeah.
cannot stress this enough, Jason. How dare you?
So, just to let everyone know, my grandmother passed away. I think either the day we were going to record or the day before, and that just kind of tore me apart. And so I've been dealing with those sorts of things. The nice thing is that my grandmother was the one who got me into D&D and all that stuff, and used to buy miniatures for me, and I used to paint them on her on this piece of linoleum that she had in the living room. It was there basically for me to create chaos on.
So
And
you're
so,
telling me that your grandmother is directly responsible for the existence of Masters of the Forge?
yeah, yeah.
Jeez,
Which is why I'm
yeah.
actually going to kind of talk about her, because I mean, whenever I got back into GW stuff, into Warhammer, I was like sitting at her dining room table building God knows what. And she walked by and said, "Oh, you're doing that again. Good." So
Mhm.
she was totally cool with it. She used to take me to all these like kind of sketchy, sometimes some of those comic book shops and hobby shops can be a little sketchy. And so she took me to quite a few of those. And this is my new favorite story about her, because she always supported me in my reading and all those sorts of things. And so as she got older, about 95, I think, is whenever we found this used bookstore and adult novelty shop, shall we say. And that was her new favorite bookstore. So just so y'all know, I have taken my grandmother on 5 occasions to a used bookstore / adult novelty store. Um, yes, this is your co-host for Masters of the Forge. This is things I find completely acceptable. Oh, and I took my mom as well, because
Right.
she was there. So yeah, that's who I am. You like
I
books?
wouldn't
We'll
have it.
take you
Wouldn't have
there.
it any other way.
Yeah. But she was really super stoked about me getting back into the hobby stuff.
Right.
You
Very
know,
supportive.
I don't know how many. I have no idea how many rubrics I built on that table, because like every time I'd go visit, I'd just go pick up a box of rubrics and build them there. So anyway,
Mhm.
so that's
She, dude,
that's
she made it to the century mark, right?
101, and
Oh yeah.
actually her 102nd birthday was yesterday.
Hell yeah.
So, she made it to the century mark. She saw all sorts of stuff in her lifetime,
We should
including,
all be so lucky.
yeah, yeah. So, anyway, that's my apology. Now, my hobby stuff.
No need to apologize, dude, but thanks for letting everybody know. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I'm sorry.
yeah. Um, the nice thing is that big piece of linoleum that I used to build all my stuff on,
Uh-huh.
she still had it. And
Uh-huh.
so I was like, it's
Yoink.
mine.
Yoink. Yep. Everybody's like everybody's fighting over the jewelry and
Yeah.
the expensive trash sex novel collection. And you're like, I'm gonna take this giant hunk of linoleum.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
It's bigger than my I have a K2000. For those of you who are into like synthesizers, I have an old K2000 synth, and it's bigger than that. It's like real wide, real deep. So yeah, and yeah, you're right. They asked me if I want any of those novels. It's like, no, I don't need to know those things. There's
Oh, thank you.
no, thank you. Even Magnus said, hold on, I don't need to know that. All right. So, the box set had the new Dreadnought and all the new Desolate, whatever the hell they're called. So they gave us 2 of those, which is cool. And so Adam
Yeah, that
had
was
one. He's
nice.
like, "I'm going to send one to you and a bunch of Zangors, but I'm not going to tell you about the Zangors." And because the Zangor to Space Marine ratio was so much higher with Zangors, the box decided, you know what, we're going to Puerto Rico, and then
Yeah,
we're going to
the box
Georgia.
took a vacation to Puerto Rico and Georgia. That's pretty
Yeah.
great.
So, like, I don't think I received it until the day after we could talk about it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That was the funny thing. Like, you never got a chance to build and paint anything out of that,
Yeah.
which is really funny.
So I'll build the stuff eventually. I just don't know when. I did pick up the new Predator kit while I was in Oklahoma. Like I went by to
Mhm,
talk to the lady at the bookstore to let her know my grandmother had passed away, and I was like, you know
mhm.
what? I need to go to a hobby store and that I've actually been to her with her and pick up a model because that's the way she would want it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair.
Yeah. So I got a Predator kit. Man, those kits look beautiful. All right. I need to thank Tucker for the Zangors that he sent. Uh,
He should be thanking you.
uh um, man, I've that's a lot of Zangors. I need to thank Nick for the Kaon Guitar Girl figure. These two things
He's
came at a
pretty cool.
time that made me feel a lot better. The Guitar Girl is pretty cool. So let's talk about the Zangors. I
Mhm.
built a bunch of the foot Zangors that Tucker sent me. About I don't know if I built 30 or 40. Like I've literally lost count. And I've still
You
got
just
10
get
more.
into it. You just get into a groove, and
Yeah,
it's just every Zangor looks alike after a while.
yeah. What's fun is that um, there it's interesting that there's like all this variance in how they're built and put together, so you can actually create quite a few. I mean, they all kind of look alike,
Mhm.
but it's not very monopose if that makes sense. Like
That's good.
there's some big variance in there. Um, I also built a few discs of Zinch for the Enlightened Zangors. I don't know how many Tucker sent me, like 18. Like I kept reading, like I kept looking at the numbers, going, "This can't be right." So I have a bunch of those. I started building some of the discs, and because I have a lot of them, I'm probably going to use some of the discs for like Thousand Suns Exalted Sorcerers because
Right.
he also sent me two Orc Shaman, not Orc Shaman, sorry, two Zangor Shaman, and I already had one, so I now have three Zangor Shaman, and he sent me the Magistrar on disc from AOS, which I have that one already, but it's good to have the second one. Uh, yeah, so it's a lot of Zangors. It's like kind of overwhelming, but kind of cool. Um, and then my non-Zangor stuff, I'm redoing my paint scheme for my original, the original knight. I think it was like was a knight paladin or knight errant. I can't remember the exact whatever it is, but I stripped it down. I'm gonna paint it. Or I'm painting it in shower colors, which is kind of turquoise and gold with like metallic silver. But I had to strip it first. But base colors are down. Now it's time for details. And this next week, I will be pulling together everything for Adepticon because I have not done that. So I have to have models for like a
Mhm.
regular game, and then so that I can run a couple of boarding action games. So
Nice.
yeah, that's going to
Nice.
be
That brings me joy.
yeah. I've got to find. I know I've got flamers. I know I have them. I just don't remember where the hell they are. So I'm
Uh
going to be
huh.
pulling. I'm going to be tearing this place apart in the next. Well, starting tomorrow. So
I mean, we're starting our Adepticon prep 2 weeks before Adepticon. That is the appropriate time.
that's right. That's how we do it here at the Masters of
That's
the Forge.
yeah. That is how everyone should start their Adepticon prep. two
Yeah,
weeks before Adepticon.
I think Mike's got everything done.
You know what?
Canadian.
You, Mike. You.
All right, so let's get to games played because
Ugh.
yeah,
Games. Did I play a game? I
yeah,
did.
you've got a couple
I
here.
did. I played a match play game of 40k with my orcs against John's Astra Militarum. He smoked me like a blunt, dude.
Are you serious?
Yeah, oh yeah, I got roasted. Um whined about it on the internet and said, I'm gonna set my orcs on fire. I set those on fire. It's fine. Kill some of them. Um, no, it's whatever. I think we didn't put enough terrain on the table or something. That's what people said. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about match play Warhammer 40,000. I hate it, and it's fine. It's
Yeah,
okay. You don't have to like everything
yeah,
because I feel like you definitely do need like an impenetrable wall of terrain going
right.
down the middle of the battlefield in order for it to work. And I
Yeah,
think I don't that's not that's a hate the that's a, not a don't hate the player that's a don't hate the player situation, man.
yeah,
Like you can't. There's nothing you can do. It's fine. So, anyways, I like playing narrative play. I
yeah.
played an incursion game using Tempest of War against Steve from Buffalo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in town on business, so
Hmm.
he took some of my orcs, and I took my Drukari for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, you haven't played them in.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was really great to get behind the wheel of those ladies again.
Man, it's been a long time since you played Jojakari.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay.
mhm, 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 mhm. Yeah, and he smoked me like a venison. So anyways,
Yeah,
well, he that was a much closer game than my game with John, certainly.
yeah,
In both cases, it was nice to roll some dice and
yeah.
have a laugh and to talk and to
Well,
do
you and
stuff.
Drakari are pretty like. I don't know how the meta is shifted, um,
Oh, I don't know.
but I remember them being, or at least how the stats have shifted. But I remember them being pretty tough to
Yeah,
take on.
the witches have increased in points like twice.
Yeah, I believe that.
So now if they get like so they have a 6-up save if they're not in combat. So and toughness 3.
Ooh,
So it's the first I assault something and then they die. It's annoying. I hate that. So there's
yeah,
that. Um but they're still fun and fast to play.
yeah.
All right.
And then
Let's discuss
I only got the game that we're
uh
going to talk about today.
yeah, we're going to talk about that in the next segment.
Yep.
Um, so in the astropathic communique, I picked the new Snickrot that was revealed a couple days ago.
Yeah, he's
He
pretty.
looks pretty. He's not doing the the old one. He would be like shh with his
Yeah,
finger,
yeah,
and I would be I probably would actually be upset if he wasn't since he's not doing that.
yeah.
But uh, I, I'm not upset because the old model actually holds up really really well
Of course it does.
to the point where I don't think the pose needs to be copied.
Yeah,
It's like I'm happy having two different versions of the model, two
yeah,
different poses. So I think that's fine. You can have his goggles up or down, which is nice. He
yeah.
comes with a little smoke bottle. Yeah, he looks proper sneaky, proper stabby. I think I'm excited.
That was pretty cool. Let's see. Hold on. I chose two different ones.
Okay.
Um, well, I was actually had a third because I really like the Horse Heresy Vindicators that just came out like 2 days ago.
Mm,
But the AOS has a code right for their what's their
Caradron Overlords,
yeah
and
that
he is a delight.
cool like
Yeah.
honestly that one's. I mean, I am not going to do the Overlords, but that guy I might actually pick up just to paint him because he looks
Yeah,
cool.
I'll definitely be picking up one of those for
Yeah,
my army.
Brad.
He looks so cool, and there's lots of fun memes.
Yeah, and then the next one was and this was kind of funny that I chose this one, the Ashwood Stranger, from the Necromunda line,
Hmm.
um, which honestly he looks kind of like a space marine, and since Necromunda is um, built up a little bit,
Hmm.
but I do like that he's got the double pistol thing going on. He's got his sword on his back. It's
Yeah.
just kind of a really cool. Um, Yeah, just kind of a really cool miniature, to be honest. I don't know. I just really like the way it looks.
Yeah, really cool, like nomad gunfighter situation
Yeah, like
with
I'm
like
not going to do
piecemeal
Necromunda.
armor,
Oh yeah,
rebreather. Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm
yeah.
down with
Like
this picture.
I'm not going to do Necromunda just because that's just one
Yeah,
more thing that you know. Um, but I really do like that miniature. I think it's really cool.
he's
So,
got excellent trigger discipline for a gun that doesn't have a trigger.
wait a minute. Let me look at that again.
Oh no, I see the trigger now. I see it. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. On his right
I
hand.
just
Yeah.
I just love nerds who always say have to mention the model's trigger discipline, so I thought I'd jump in there. Anyways,
I think that
love it.
sword with carrying the other crap on it, like what they
Yeah.
call it?
The sword has kill markers on it. It's great.
Yeah,
I think it's 9.
that's
So
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I think it's up to you to just continue adding kill markers to the sword as you go.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right, great. Let's go
yeah.
beyond the fringe, everybody.
Yay!
Yeah, birthdays. I had 2 birthdays.
Yep.
So, my Wendy's uncle Dan turned 60, and we went out. We threw Quinn at a couple friends, and we went out and we had drinkies in a bar, which is
All
a weird
right.
thing to do when you're 40, whatever I am. It's a good time. And then we had Quinn's birthday party. I did a brunch. I pre-made a bunch of pancakes that morning
Yeah.
and pre-made all the fillings for the omelets, and I made omelets to order.
Nice.
Yeah, like 20 something people. I What I did was I put all the toppings out on the kitchen landing,
Yeah.
our kitchen island, and I put a plate there, and a Sharpie, and I told people, write your name on the plate, put all your toppings, put all your fillings on the plate, and I will make your omelet.
That's
And it
rad, dude.
worked out really well.
That is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
Quinn
super
had
cool.
a lovely time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by the end, because he didn't have a nap, so by the end he was just like super strung out. Like
Yeah.
he was done. He was just he doesn't fall asleep in the car ever. He definitely fell asleep in the car.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's not a car sleeper. He's not a random sleeper. He sleeps when he sleeps. He has a schedule, right?
Yeah.
To that day, he passed out right in the car. He had a great time,
Yeah.
and he's 4. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That
Our
is
podcast turns 9 this year, I think.
yeah.
2014.
Yeah. Because I now have 10 years in the hobby as of January. So yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Crazy. And yeah, that's I think that's celebrated shortly after Adepticon because
Mhm.
that Adepticon 2014 was when we interviewed David Annandale for our first
Episode.
episode
Yeah.
with
Oh
Medical
wow.
Gaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, we're gonna be the old guys.
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Well, I mean, we kind of already are the old guys.
Whatever.
Well, I think so. Forging the narrative. No, forge the narrative.
Yeah.
They hit their 10 years this
Yeah.
month.
That's right, because they were around before Masters of the Forge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were for like 11 months before us.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to them.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. What's your beyond the fringe?
I have two things. I'm
Huh?
back to drinking cold brew
Oh,
coffee.
good. Thank God.
I had actually kicked just not even drinking caffeine. I'd stopped doing it, but this semester I'm teaching so much that I had to go back to caffeine of some sort, and cold brew is probably the healthier of the versions. Also, so in my real job, I do a lot of recordings, and on Thursday, yeah, Thursday, and this is really nerdy. And if you don't want to talk about here, listen to me talk about weird recording stuff. Yeah, scroll ahead.
Yeah.
I was actually recording piano, and I've recorded piano a few times. I've never been particularly happy
Uh-huh.
about it, and so I went through and ran a different experiment and used a bass drum dynamic microphone, which only records from about 50 hertz to 5 kilohertz, and I just jammed it underneath the piano because I'd seen someone recommend it, and I was like, let's see what happens. And I went and listened to the recordings on Thursday night, and at first I thought there was like my ears were gone, like I just couldn't hear stuff, or like I thought maybe it sounded better than I was thinking because my ears were tired, and I actually went to my headphones and went back and listened to it yesterday, and it's actually really good sound. Like I found the secret sauce, and
Nice.
yeah, like I was like so excited and so stoked about it. So
Right. I can
yeah,
yeah, I can imagine like if you're like in my head I'm imagining like microphone like microphone pointed into uh the piano
yeah, into the
and
soundboard.
or like around it,
Hmm.
right? But getting like that bass
Yeah,
under the piano,
yep,
right? It's like your ears would pick it up if
yeah,
you're at a certain level. And it seems like that makes a lot of sense to me.
yeah,
And I bet for like a standing piano, why you don't want them jammed against the wall
yeah,
too, right? Like because there's
yep.
something to that.
Yeah, I'm using here you go, nerds. I'm using two Neumann KM184s, one at the high register, one at the mid register in an AB formation. Then I'm using an AKG 414 in Omni over the bass strings. And it's an Omni so that you don't have any proximity effect. And then I've got the other mic underneath. So it was four mics total.
Wow.
And if you're curious about all that means, maybe you want to think about taking the music technology minor with me. Hit me up. Let's see what happens.
Awesome. Love it.
Oh, that's another thing. For the last few years, I've been working on a new programs, building new degrees, and 2 weeks ago they wait. 2 weeks ago? No, last week. Was that last week? That was last week. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
oh man, it's been one of those semesters. We had the new program implementation meeting. So like all the work I've been doing since 2019 for these two programs was just validated and we're putting into action for next fall. And it started last week. So yeah. So
Congratulations, dude.
yeah, thanks.
Work
That's
great.
yeah, it's gonna keep me in the job.
Ha-
That's the most important thing.
yeah.
Keep me paid so I can buy
Yep.
plastic stuff from G Dubs.
Heck
Okay.
yeah. Heck yeah. All right. Oh, more beyond the fringe.
Yeah.
And like I forgot the most important birthday of all. It was Sunny's birthday.
Oh yeah.
Duh. Yeah, we went on a birthday hike with Sunny. I took a day off of work and I said peace out, and Sunny and I climbed a little mountain together,
All
and
right.
then we climbed back down and we didn't die. It was nice. Had our
Nice.
snowshoes. Well, I had my snowshoes on.
Yeah.
He had his paws on and he ran around up and down a mountain. He was so happy,
Yeah.
zooming, chasing smells that weren't there or probably were there, but the animals weren't.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was good times. It was good times. I really liked it. Felt good to get out again. All right.
All right.
Excellent. So let's take a quick break. So this episode, we're going to talk about the game we played first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was really trying to see if we could sneak in another one, but
Yeah.
we don't need to get burned out. Okay. So after we talk about our game, we're going to talk about Vashtorr, the
Mm-hmm.
new book, and we'll talk a little bit about the new rules, and we're going to synopsis the lore. And next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll talk about it later.
Well, we're going to be at
But
Adepticon, so that's going to be an
yeah,
Adepticon episode.
there'll be there's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I lost it. So okay, we're gonna take a quick break and come back. Damn, I knew it was around here somewhere. Damn, where is it?
Can I help you?
Ah! Scared me.
What do you seek?
I need the perfect scenario for a narrative game I'm running this week, and I can't find one.
Sir, this is the Black Library. We don't have narrative scenarios.
Well, then where should I go?
Might I recommend the Tabletop Campaign Repo?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo? What's that?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo is an ad-free site for hosting resources related to playing tabletop miniatures wargaming.
Oh, like scenarios?
Absolutely. Also, event packs, custom objectives, tracking sheets, custom terrain rules, maps, icon packs, award templates, and more.
Oh, and this is for Warhammer 40k?
Among other things, there's also Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and others. They're always open for content submissions for any system, even non-Games Workshop materials.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like a great way to save all of this great content the community makes. A lot of that stuff often ends up disappearing into a dead message board or Facebook group.
Exactly. It's a real community effort.
Great. So, how do I get there?
Just go to that webway gate marked tcrepo.com.
tcrepo.com. Got it. Can I ask you one more question before I go?
Fire away.
This place is really easy to find. How come Aramon can never find it?
Oh, because it's more funny that way.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Once again, the Tabletop Campaign repository can be found at tcrepo.com, and they're always looking for submissions.
Hey guys, this is Adam. I would like you guys to go in and join our Patreon at whatever level you want, whatever level you can afford. It would really help us keep up with the costs of running the podcast and get some new equipment, etc. So please go ahead and join, and you will be automatically entered in sweepstakes for like at least half the stuff that we get sent as a gift or as a preview material for from Games Workshop. So no purchase necessary. You can send a message, you can send an email to us if you're not a Discord member, and with the subject line, "I am a tool." Subject line is "I am a tool," and we will enter you in the sweepstakes. Otherwise, you'll be automatically entered if you are a member of the Discord, and you will receive a message from us saying, "Go ahead and tell us which thing you want," and we will randomly determine which thing you get. Again, check out us on Patreon and support the show, and talk to us in Discord. Thanks. Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 hour a night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det er ikke ei bikkje, det er en slags ting. Den imiterer ei bikkje, men det er ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. Welcome back. Arks of Omen 3, Vashtorr, in the lore, also known as The Rock. Good thing it's made of rock. So again, our show notes are pre-prepared, but they are also our own words. So the story opens up with a lot of good exposition on Vashtorr himself, which I was really looking forward to. You get a look from his perspective as an omniscient and omnipotent being of logic and edifice. So he's a giant computer demon.
Yeah.
He has his finger on the pulse of every theater of war where there's an Ark of Omen present. So those Ark of Omens are kind of a direct synaptic link to Vashtorr.
Mm-hmm.
There is a decent overview describing some of them, each providing a seed for narrative gaming, so check those out. Not all of the arcs are successful, but many of them are. Like one of the one that went to the Galactic Core to mess with the Votan, that was a terrible idea. He's also got a bunch of minions covertly planted throughout the galaxy, working at every level of society. So expect that a bunch of tech priests out there are minions of
Yeah.
Vashtorr secretly. He also maintains a close choir of individuals who serve him. These resources combine to form this vast cognitive machine that tirelessly crunches numbers and possibilities. Um, and that way they can provide Vashtorr with some unique insight. Why would he do that with himself? He's got better things to do than do math all day.
Right.
Vashtorr is portrayed as a genius who explores every avenue of creation and invention without a single thought to ethics and without regard to consequences. The text says that he is, and I quote, the demigod of every scientist who injected an agent or practiced a theorem before it was ethically safe. Every engineer who ever cast aside regulations in the name of liberated intellect. I kind of feel like this is definitely not timely or any kind of satirical character at
Yeah.
all whatsoever. And how dare you for assuming anything is satirical in Warhammer 40k? How dare
He's also kind of the anti-call.
you? Yeah. He's definitely
Yeah.
like um not Elon Musk. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. He does remind me quite a bit of Belisarius Call, though.
Oh yeah, he is, but he's like the other,
Yeah.
the
I
other
would
cool
love to
guy.
see some sort of thing between the two, and like some sort of
Mm-hmm.
showdown standoff. All right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The exposition eases into a story about Vashtorr attacking a Mechanicus/Inquisition research station. There, he easily gains entry and turns a bunch of tech priests into spawn. Of course he did. Meets up with some Alpha Legion disguised as Death Watch, then orders them onto their next task. Shortly after, Vashtorr is attacked by some Skitarii and some Scions. He sends the tech spawn after them. The descriptions are really cool and make for an interesting hobby opportunity. Whoever isn't killed by the spawn or Vashtorr's devastating control over their augmented bodies are then torn to pieces by summoned demons. The demons are of all sorts, and they are augmented with demon technology, even lowly plague bearers. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
going to get this book just because
Do you need every book?
I don't need every book, but considering he
Yeah.
is running demons, and yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead and get this book then.
Yeah, it's really neat. The demons he summons and the spawn that he
Mhm.
controls, like he turns people and things into spawn, but they're like tech spawn.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really, really cool hobby opportunities for running an army centered on Vashtorr,
And
in
what's
my
interesting is
opinion.
if you have a bunch of if you have a bunch of parts from, I don't know, Zangor running around,
Mm-hmm.
you could probably smash together some really interesting demon slash spawn type things.
Yeah,
Thanks, Tucker.
for real. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm down with that. So he starts looking around in this place for some cool stuff to loot, apparently, and finds a massive vortex bomb. He quickly wraps it in a stasis field and sends it off to be friends with a Farseer on the other side of a warp portal, chuckling as he does so. Good for him.
Yeah, everyone
There's
needs
like
a
a
little friend. Yeah.
yeah, there's a comment here and in other places about how weird it feels to be in his physical form for him. Like he's like, boy, it sure is weird to form coherent linear thoughts and seeing things in a linear frame of reference. Must suck to have to do this all the time. So he rampages through the place until he comes to the data stacks where he finds an abominable intelligence, which has been
Nice.
hiding out here for some time. Vashtorr promises to provide it with freedom if it can divulge the location of the rock. So this intelligence has been studying the rock for a while.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just know where it was the last time it was fed data. It knows where it would go based on current events. If you know, take my meaning.
Oh.
It's been studying the movements of the rock so much that
Yeah.
it can predict where it would go depending on what's going on with the galaxy.
Nice. Okay. Well, I mean, I kind of find this cool because I do like the Dark Angels quite a bit,
Mhm.
which I realize is whatever. Anyway,
It's fine.
so as it turns out, the place was owned by an Inquisitor, the Ordo Astartes, and they had all kinds of information like that stored in their databanks. Vashtorr puts together a force which includes a bunch of Black Legion on loan from Abaddon and Iron Warriors on loan from Pertuabo. At the
We'll
center
talk
of
more about that later.
Oh yeah. At the center of his fleet is a super big Ark of Omen called the Aurak Unleashed. He merges the abominable intelligence that helped him on the Inquisitorial station with the Ark's ferrymen. Oh, wow. Okay. Um, it quickly absorbed the rest of the intelligences throughout the various parts of the ship, destroying some and absorbing others. So basically, you now have a really big ship that is controlled by an abominable intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to go really well.
Yeah, but hey, at least the whole ship can act in concert instead of having all these disparate parts. So unlike a bunch of the other Space Hulks, this one
Yeah.
actually acts like as a single being,
Oh
which is
man, that would
also probably a
be
terrible idea.
there are so many opportunities in a narrative situation where you
Oh
have
yeah.
yeah, like my mind just popped. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. The hive world of Marwent's Reach. That's where this whole book kind of unravels its
Mhm.
lore. It's under attack by Chaos Nighthouse Korvax.
Mhm.
This is former Knights of House Raven that got turned when a couple campaign books ago,
Yeah.
when the Be'lakor book. So the Ultramarines, led by Tigerius, along with some Nova Marines and Astra Militarum, come to their aid, along with House
Tiggy.
Raven. House Raven and Princeps Grievin, they are honor bound to hunt down Korvax for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
So the Chaos Knights, they can come out of the shadows with a bunch of they strike out of the shadows with a bunch of Chaos Marines. Um, it's pretty obvious that they still have either some powers or having some kind of assistance from Be'lakor. Shortly after, the Ravenwing strike cruiser Implacable Justice, which doesn't really sound like much of a Ravenwingy name, but whatever,
Yeah.
sneaks its way into the system. I see these huge numbers of the foe, and they send a message and they wait patiently for the rock to show up. So the description of the rock moving through space is really cool. I really like it. Well, apparently there were also descriptions of strange hooded Astartes helping them. Like, all right, fine. Um, but it's immediately set upon by Vashtorr's force translating from the warp. Apparently, all of these chaos guys are
Yeah.
able to translate out of the warp within like 5 inches of a planetary gravity well for some reason.
Wow.
Um, they're really close and they can just start exchanging weapons fire. The Ravenwing take control of the fleet battle while Azrael, recently having crossed the Rubicon Primaris, his
Yeah.
back still hurts, takes on overall command from Ezekiel and Belial, who had been commanding in his stead. And they fight. There's just a big fight scene. There's
Yeah.
no need to get into the details of that. You can read it yourself.
I like that Tiggy is here and the Nova
Oh yeah.
Marines, my favorite of the Ultramarines successor chapters.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty cool. So right For those of you who are wondering why I was laughing, every time that anyone says The Rock, I always think of Dwayne Johnson
Yeah,
first because,
fair.
because it's ridiculous. And yeah, you know me. So the Aurak Unleashed has a super beam warp cannon crafted lovingly over hundreds of years called the Unmaker. Not too bad.
I mean, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, after several pulses from this cannon, Vashtorr finally finds the right harmonic frequency and brings down the rock's legendary force field, the Gorgon's Aegis. Oh,
Uh-huh.
there's so many things. Yeah, okay,
Uh-huh.
keep going. The rock founders,
He would
Windows and
never.
technology smashed. They are able to get backup shield generators running to protect individual sites, and extra garrisons are sent to the depths to protect the rock's secrets. Now that I'm thinking about it, instead of the Rock as the Dark Angels thing with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, this does
Mhm.
make this even more funny.
Mm.
Um, then the Aurak Unleashed closes in on the Rock, and the two Space Hulks started to trade weapons fire. That's right, the Rock basically is a Space Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Right?
yeah. I mean, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but that's definitely what it is. All right. Vashtorr knows that the Rock can't be allowed to repair all of its systems because even the Aurak Unleashed couldn't win in a stand-up fight. He'd already planned the ultimate assault, and his fleet executes the predetermined attack as one, including a group of 9 Zinchian demons on blazing chariots, towing on silver chains a huge crystal prism set into massive flesh metal mechanisms. Can we have Battlefleet Gothic back, please?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. All right, keep going.
The Rock is breached by the Iron Warrior, Word Bearer, and Black Legion borders at several locations. Good for him.
Yeah,
Vashtorr also lands and causes a bunch of power conduits to rupture, gaining him entry. The demon set up that giant crystal, and
mhm.
he bangs it with his hammer, and it starts spinning. Then he bangs his hammer on it again, and it smashes, and it creates a warp rift out of which like an entire army of demons comes out. With his bodyguard, he enters the rock. Vashtorr is looking for something that is calling to him. They fight both. They fight both on the surface and inside the rock. The different prongs of the attack are obviously meant to distract the Dark Angels and pull reinforcement away from the main thrust commanded by Vashtorr. So there's this really cool 2-page map reminiscent of an old D&D module with bullet points describing the different fronts of the battle. And
Yeah,
colored lines depict the different advances of both the enemy and the Dark Angels. So in many ways, it's a lot more interesting and easy to follow than the text. I'm not going to lie.
yeah.
Really like that. I hope to see more of that.
Let's see. Read the sidebar on page 19. Do you have that loaded up?
Oh, you son of a gun. How dare you put that in there? And by you, I mean me. And by me, I mean tired me last night. It's fine. Page 18,
19.
page 19. Oh, I thought this was cool. I've always wondered about the Dark Angels Master of the Forge. They never
Wait, that's
say,
on there?
as far as I know, they never talk about this person. These people
Yeah.
always just have a generic Master of the Forge. So here, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
The Dark Angel's Master of the Forge was unusual for one of his rank, in that he had been fully wired into the key systems of the rock itself and was bound in place for life. Though this meant he was not able to rush in person to the deep vaults containing the generatora for the Gorgon's Aegis, it did allow him to commune directly with the ancient machine spirits of its systems. Even as Tech Marines and servitors sought to effect repairs to the dimly understood machines that powered and projected the incredible force field, so the Master of the Forge found himself in an invisible fight against the scrap code possessor demons whose continuing presence crippled the mechanisms. It was a conflict that grew more desperate and savage by the moment. So the the rock, the Dark Angel's Master of the Forge is just permanently attached to the rock.
Yeah.
Which fair, like
I remember
he
reading
would
that
be
before.
he would be like majorly in the inner circle
Yeah.
because he would be privy to everything going on the rock. So it stands to reason that he just stays there. But good for him too because he can actually personally fight the scrap code himself without having to rely on you know uh, techno geists, what they call them,
Right.
like kind of fake low level AI. So yeah, that was interesting.
That is pretty cool. That is quite
Yeah.
interesting.
And there are some really cool pictures of the tech spawn and stuff that they talk about throughout the book.
Yeah. I had to
And
go through and really look at the book. I have not had a chance to. All right. So the ultimate battle takes place in a huge space called the Galerium Exactor, which is home to the Nameless Gate, which is cast in obsidian and shut with iron chains. Oh, there's a modeling opportunity right
Mhm.
there. All right. The book describes the links in these chains as being big and bigger than a dreadnought. Okay.
Yeah, the links are bigger than a dreadnought.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that my house has a large enough table to do that. All right. The statues in the room are enormous, set on plinths that the book says are big enough to land multiple storm ravens on. Oh, come on. That's my living room, guys. All right. The Dark Angels are forced to destroy several statues with melted charges in order to provide them cover against the heretics' assault. Unsurprisingly, Azrael orders his men to die with their backs to the Nameless Gate before even thinking about opening it and going to the depths of the rock. There seems to be the feeling that uninitiated Dark Angels would have their minds unmade if they witnessed the secrets down there. You think?
I am so curious.
Yeah.
So there's this big battle scene there. There's a cool duel between Azrael and Sorcerer Lord Zorphos,
Hmm.
which is a Black Legion sorcerer that I think has shown up previously. Well, that dude has his head lopped off.
He was just
He
sitting
joined.
there. Come on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He joins Ezekiel to fight Vashtorr. Then suddenly the lights flicker out and the fallen reveal themselves with all sorts of Legion insignia. So the fallen show up and they start shooting, but they also bear the mark of Be'lakor. And they
Ooh.
start shooting indiscriminately into both the Dark Angels and the demons.
Huh.
Um, Azrael uses this opportunity to fall back from a losing battle because he knew he was gonna. He's like, "Oh wait, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Dang it." Uh, Vashtorr starts to fret. Actually, he's a little worried, but while he's fretting, he's attacked by conscious shadows and dragged to the surface of the rock, where he meets his friend Be'lakor. Be'lakor is
Bellacore.
there. Vashtorr accuses Be'lakor of bringing him to the surface just to gloat, but Be'lakor corrects him, saying he's simply smacking down a little puppy who thinks he's one of the big dogs. Um, he says, "My purpose here is to remind you which demon deity holds power over the mortals, which of us dangles the despoiler on a thread, and then to send you back to lurk amidst your cogs." So he seems kind of jealous that Vashtorr is trying to manipulate his boyfriend. It's still not really clear from their taunts why Be'lakor is really thwarting Vashtorr. But the text implies he's only making it seem like his motive is simple jealousy, um, and like posturing. Uh, there definitely is something in the rock that he wants.
Hmm.
Their duel is an interesting battle, which takes so long that Vashtor's plans for the rock start to slip through his fingers like sand. Like at one point, um, the Be'lakor takes down all his shield or takes his shields down, etc. But then Vashtorr is able to raise his shields temporarily, and he commands all the missiles flying through the air to
Yeah.
target them, and they explode all over Be'lakor. It's really interesting battle.
Um, I'm still on the fallen reveal themselves with all sorts of Legion insignia, but
Oh yeah,
also bearing the mark of Be'lakor.
right. So they had infiltrated some of the chaos.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That is super cool.
Mhm.
I do like that. And considering how many Dark Vengeance boxes I have full of, Dark Angels that I never painted. Hmm. Okay. That could be a thing. All right. Okay. Although Bellicor has succeeded in blocking Vashtorr, his forces are still much fewer in numbers than either of the other armies. That fact, along with the rest of the Imperials from the Marwent's Reach, finally within reach, and the expert void warcraft displayed by Samael and the Ravenwing, Velikor eventually outstretched himself. He's about to head back into the rock when Vashtorr finally rallies, takes control of every tank and gun emplacement he can, and blasts Be'lakor back to the warp, where he belongs. Yeah.
That bit of like the plot seemed very forced.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Kind of
oh,
deity in the machine. Yeah.
yeah, like a wrestling match where the
Yeah.
guy like suddenly gets up on the one count.
Yeah. So when he does all this, all of his forces, or whenever Bellacor's popped, all of his forces, the dead include, disappear into the shadows. Spiteful that he couldn't retrieve the last piece of the key, Vashtorr pulls out his survivors as best he can and flees. The Orc, unleashed, breaks off and escapes. Please, can we have Battlefleet Gothic back, please?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Go
With
ahead.
all the enemies repelled, the Dark Angels tell their friends to beat it.
Just beat
It's
it.
like, yeah, you can't be here because we're gonna raise the Gorgon shield soon, and you'll be trapped inside. We're thinking of your safety for
Yeah.
real. Princeps Grieven and Captain Leon of the Nova Marines were expecting a lot more gratitude and fanfare for saving their lives, but Tigerius reacts like a person with a weird but tolerable buddy who has to explain to the rest of their friends that that's just the way he is. He's all right. So they take their leave. The Dark Angels translate away to deep space to lick their wounds and torture the living daylights out of their new prisoners. There is a scene of sensory deprivation torture, which
Yeah.
reveals that all the prisoners are directing the Dark Angels to the Somnium Stars. If I recall, that's where Luther went.
I think so.
I think so. The Dark Angels are wary that all of their prisoners are suddenly giving up that piece of information that so they suspect a trap. But it's a trap they can't help but fall into. Like they kind of, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where they're going to have to say, okay, we know this is a trap, but we need to have contingencies to spring our own trap after that trap has sprung.
I'm
Right.
trying to remember what Space Marine chapters are out in the Somnium Stars.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And it could be anything at this point.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. And they are right to expect a trap. In the final scene with Abaddon, it is revealed that Vashtorr had planted the thought in the minds in an effort to lure them to the Somnian Stars. Abaddon is annoyed at Vashtorr, but he's also super annoyed with Be'lakor, who's supposed to be on a long leash. Okay. Vashtorr assures Abaddon this isn't the end. The texts say that we have a few more theaters of war to visit. The Damocles Gulf, which probably Talon Orcs, Ultramar, Space Marines, and Tyranids. Yeah, that's going to be, yeah. Ultima Macaria, the final conquest of the Macarian Crusade, and Shrine World long since having lost contact with the Imperium, and the Medusan Reach, which is our lovely Iron Hands buddies.
Yeah, and including the Iron Hands in there.
Yeah, that's a first.
That does make me think maybe we're getting a Perturabo model, because who would go against them? The Iron Warriors, right? It's like a cool Iron Warriors Iron Hands battle, and that's when we get Perturabo.
Yeah.
And I think one of the last books says that Emperor's children have been messing around with other Chaos Space Marine factions.
Right.
And it would just be delightful to see him messing with the Iron Warriors and Perturabo.
Yeah, and they need it. You know?
Yeah. So I'm gonna guess Perturabo will be released with the Medusan Reach part of this book. We'll see. Nobody was right about the lion showing up here either, but it could be like a bunch of huge models in a huge release. when we start getting into the Somnium stars, because I can see all of that going down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kept hearing. I don't listen to rumors because after we signed our non-disclosure agreements, behind the scenes,
Yeah,
I
it's
quit
not
reading
hard to
rumors.
differentiate between
Yeah.
what's rumor and what we heard.
Yeah. And so, I know this was a rumor was that, the lion might be coming back. And I was like, well, can we just
That's been
hurry
a
up?
rumor for years,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, cool. So why don't we? That's really interesting. It was a good story. Like kind of the end there got a little wishy washy with how Vashtorr,
Mm,
or how Vashtorr got rid of Be'lakor, and I am still curious to hear what the final piece of the puzzle is supposed to be.
yeah.
Um, and Abaddon hasn't given up, and Vashtorr they haven't given up on getting that last piece of the key.
Right,
They're
right.
just hoping to bring the rock to them next time. So we'll see about that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about Vashtorr rules. Potty break, potty break. I need to have a potty break. I gotta pee. I've had a coffee and some water and some coffee and then some coffee again. All right. Welcome back. So, wanted to talk a little bit about the rules, mainly the cool, narrative themed missions for the most part. Also wanted to talk about the demon faction rules, which Jason's
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about, and I was going to pick like a random um faction here, but it doesn't matter. You guys, if you're gonna pick this up, if you have this faction, you're probably not going to pick it up if you don't. Um, unless you're looking to play boarding actions. Jason, do you want to have a chat about the demon rules? You did use them the last
Yeah.
time we played.
Yeah. I like
What
them.
did you think? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing as Zinch. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I play as. And the Warlord trade or whatever, the Warlord enhancement, not trade, is really, really cool. And I think that everybody here has realized that I'm not like a big stratagems fan,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's just extra sauce or whatever. But there's actually a few stratagems I absolutely adore. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Also, I want to thank Past Me for forgetting that I had some snacks in the back of the refrigerator.
Hell yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. All right. So what are your favorite parts about the demons stuff? Like what pick a couple things that you really like.
There's some real nice size. I mean, there's some real fun stuff here. There's some rules of adaptations um that are pretty interesting. You do have to kind of pay attention to them. Um, with the couple of the psychic powers have a higher warp charge value, and some of the warp storm effects cost different stuff. And pardon me, so you have to really kind of keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the enhancement for the Zinch Warlord basically allows you to, subtract one from an attack wound roll. So if an attack is made against my Warlord, it's -1 to wound, which is kind of cool. That's in corporeal form. The
Nice.
stratagem that there's one stratagem that I absolutely love. Like they're all pretty cool, but there's one that I really dig, and it's called Insubstantial Entities.
Mm-hmm.
And the flavor text: demons are not mortal creatures. Their forms shifting between the warp and real space, passing through solid barriers with ease. And this is a 2 CP stratagem, which one thing
There
you and
aren't a
I,
lot of those
yeah,
in Arks of Omen.
yeah, and one of the things you and I both kind of talked about was, and this is like what we played a few games, and we always end up with more CP at the end than we need. Like we haven't burned through
Mm-hmm.
them like we would in a game of 40k, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it's 2 CP. And you use a stratagem in your movement phase. You select a Legion Demonica unit from your army when they're selected to make a normal move. When making that move, models in the unit can move within engagement range of enemy models and can move through models, walls, and closed hatchways, but cannot move more than 6 inches and cannot end their move within any of these within walls, models, or closed hatchways, nor within engagement range of any enemy models. And you can only use this stratagem once per game. And I used it in our game, and one, it was fun because
Yeah.
I think we both sat there and laughed about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I just absolutely loved that stratagem. And
Being able
there's
to move through walls is pretty freaking cool.
yeah, and the thing is that there are certain stratagems that are blood letters only or horrors only. I have to
Mhm.
make sure I pronounce that properly. Or plague bearer only, or what's the other one? The demons of Slanesh. Yeah. So it's one of those things that you only have certain things you can do because of whatever god you're building or playing, or if you're doing a Chaos United, then I guess, or Undivided, sorry, then I guess you could go through and do some other stuff. But there's some really cool stratagems in here that I like. But that one's my favorite.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Uh, so then there's also a little section here for kill zone upgrades
Mm-hmm.
from Shadow Vaults, which you could buy this weekend. I really thought about it, and then I decided against it. So you can
Yes.
get defensive upgrades and attacking upgrades. So
Mm-hmm.
defensive upgrades include, well, one of them's a searchlight that'll
Mm-hmm.
cost you 10 points. You stick it on there, you stick it on the battlefield, and there's like it's actually marked on the map where you're allowed to put them.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah, and there's all it has the enemy spotted rule. So when you select a target for a ranged attack,
Mm-hmm.
if a friendly model is within 9 inches and visible to a searchlight, you can reroll a hit of 1, and if the model's making the attack is a sentry turret, add 1 to the attack's hit roll.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good because the turret, the sentry turret, is a ballistic skill of 5. And it's 30 points. It's toughness 4, 3 wounds, 4 up save. It's not super tough, and it
Right.
shouldn't be. But it's got a twin heavy bolter. I mean, it can be set up in specific locations on the maps. Now, I would say go ahead and use these in other games that don't have the markers on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Just
They're
be
cool.
judicious in the location. Yeah, they're really neat. I like
Yeah.
it. And there's also an attacker upgrade. It's a breacher robot.
Yeah. One
It's
model,
pretty cool.
super cute. All the little Inquisitors will want one for Emperor's Day.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? 35 points. It's cool. It's got this like cutting blade, cutting gear thing, which honestly you could, of course have that one, or you could kit bash it from orc stuff real
Mm-hmm.
quick.
It's got a bomb.
That too. Yeah. Yeah, that I'm sure that makes Phil happy.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. It's you can set it's what is it? An assault robot before play. The deploy army setup when setting up a unit from your armies from the entry zone. You can set this unit up alongside that unit as though it were part of it using the same entry zone.
Right. Kind of like an HQ.
Yeah.
Love it.
I do love that. I look at that model and go, I wouldn't mind getting that. Just because
Mhm.
it's so cute.
So the missions in here can be played as a campaign, the
Mm-hmm.
Rock Besieged campaign.
That's really cool. I
And
like that.
yeah, I like that a lot too
Yeah.
because people have been wondering, like, well, what about the narrative? Because the missions have been very narrative, but it still hasn't gelled with Crusade very much, and I'm still a little bit concerned about the future of Crusade because I think these books, we've
Yeah.
talked about this before, and you've been very vocal in what you think is going on, and
Mm.
if this is an in between book like release for in
Yeah.
between editions, and it's meant to be evergreen, I'm a little concerned that there's not a lot of Crusade going on in here
Right. Yeah.
for it being such a narrative rule set.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a little concerned. So anyways, Every mission has a consequence for a future mission. And we have paraphrased every mission so that you don't have to read them. It's in 4 phases. Phase 1 just has one mission. It's find the signal data. There's 4 objectives down the center line, and one is secretly marked as the intel by the defending player. So the attacker has to find the intel. And they reveal whether an objective is the intel by performing an action. If it is the objective with the intel, then that unit is now marked as carrying a copy of the intel. So anybody can access that objective and get the copy. So the longer the enemy takes to identify the intel, the more successful the defender is. The more units who carry copies of the intel at the end of the game and survive, the more successful the attackers are. The outcome of this affects the drastic defense mission in phase 3. Okay. So that's really cool. It's kind of just, we've seen missions like that before where one of X objectives is the objective, capital THE.
Yeah. Phase 2. If you want to find this in the book, it's between pages 68 and 70.
Very good.
Yeah. All right. So take the teleportarium. That's the first of the 2 missions in the War in the Warp box. So there are 2 boards, one representing the teleportarium and another representing the engineerium. The teleportarium has a square marked teleportarium control zone near the middle, and it can be used to transport units from the teleportarium to the engineerium. Man, that is tying my tongue up there. All right. The mission objectives are progressive objective holding, but you can also score for holding the teleportarium and a critical objective in the center of the engineering board. This outcome affects Gellerfield Collapse mission, which comes next.
Yes. So Gellerfield Collapse, also in phase 2. There are 6 warp tear zones on the board labeled A through F. At the start of each battle round, 2 of them are connected and active. You roll a d3 to determine which ones. Units can move through them and end the move within engagement range of an enemy. If you do that, you can also shoot through them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so like you measure range to the one near you, and then you continue measuring range from the exit point to the enemy. It's really cool. I thought that was really neat. The player who won take the teleportarium can deep strike 1 unit during this.
Oh, nice. Game. Okay. Yeah,
because they have control of that. Yeah. The objectives are simply progressive objective holding, which is standard operating procedure when special rules are complicated.
Yeah. Phase 3 is then Fall of the Rock. As Vashtorr's demonic legions launch their assault against this fortress monastery, its desperate defenders mount a hasty defense. So first up is Drastic Defense. The defending player gets extra CP based on the results of the Find Signal Data mission. The attacker deploys along a short edge, and the defender is deployed scattered throughout the board. The forward zones are used at the start of the game, and the backup zones along the edge are used for reserves. Objectives are destroyed if the attacker controls them, and there are no defenders within range. Scoring is based on surviving objectives. Then the outcome of this does affect the next mission. Oh, this could be a wild thing. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. You can spend a couple months on this.
Yeah.
Rapid withdrawal. Defender starts in the middle of they're like in the middle and they're being chased by the attacker, which is deployed on one end. The attacker's reinforcements are set up to be near the defender as they escape towards the escape zone. So there's like little, there are a bunch of, and this is throughout a lot of these missions, you guys probably have noticed, where some starting zones are named a little differently and can be used at different times. And this is one of those, like, this is taking that to the nth degree where randomly the attacker can bring some on at one point mid board, and then later they can bring them on a little closer to the end of the board, because the defender is trying to escape. They're trying to get to an exit zone, and it's possible that the attacker could just bring on models within point blank range
Oh, wow.
of the fleeing defenders. Yeah. So many of the hatchways are sealed during this mission. I think that's to stop the attacker from capping the escape zone.
Yeah.
But they do start opening randomly later in the mission. The defender can affect this based on if they're holding an objective. I guess the objective represents them like holding the door controls.
Yeah.
So it's a random which doors open, but they can plus or minus based on how many objectives they hold. The attacker gets ongoing reserves, and the defender always passes morale. The attacker scores for killing the defender, and the defender scores for escaping.
Cool.
And the outcome affects the next mission.
So our next mission is Desperate Holdout. Man, this is a big campaign.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. There are what, 9
8
missions?
No, wait,
8
3,
missions?
6, 8 mission. Yeah. I mean, they're all 500-point missions, but still. Anyway, sorry. Desperate Holdout. The defenders deployed along the middle, and the attackers deployed along the short edges. The defender has some hatches mined. Their reinforcements are slowed. They start the game set to defend and overwatch and hold steady.
Yeah, it's fair because they're starting in the middle in a pincer attack, and so that definitely means the attacker is going to be able to get within shooting.
Oh yeah,
right away,
immediately. If they won rapid withdrawal, they can mine additional hatchways. Oh, I love that. Attacker units can't be set up within 9 inches of defender units. Very good. Scoring is based on in-game objective holding the center. And the outcome of this mission affects the Hunt the Damned mission at the end of Phase 4.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yep. Then we have Phase 4.
And Phase 4 is Reclamation. With the Loyalist fleet returning, the Rock's defenders are able to take back the initiative and launch a counteroffensive. Will they be able to exercise the Taint of Chaos from their fortress monastery? Man, really? Okay.
The elevator. The defender starts along one edge, and the attacker has 2 entry points on the other side. But the attacker also has 2 lift entry points closer to the middle, so they can only use for reserves. So in this case, the defender is actually more of in an attack position, and I think for both of these, this is like the Dark Angels coming back and pushing back. If the Imperium won the Geller Field Collapse mission, they can deep strike a unit. The attacker determines who has the first turn. Scoring is progressive, and lots of victory points for taking the lifts.
Oh, cool.
And of course, the outcome of this one affects the last mission.
All right, the last mission is Hunt the Damned. The map has a variety of entry zones and escape zones. The defender is chasing the attacker now. The Imperium can use lift entry zones more easily if they want to retake the elevator. The defender can't block the attacker's flight with deep strike abilities. Attacker units can fall back and shoot, but hitting on 6 up. Really? Okay. If the attacker won Desperate Holdout, they get a 5 up ignore wounds on the escape zones. And they can escape within the command phase, each of their command phases. The attacker scores for escaping and defender scores for killing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. I like any of these. Pretty much all of the escape missions, I think, should have that. They should let the person who's trying to escape fall back and shoot, but like snapshots, that's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of these missions are really cool. Every one of them has a little something different. Nothing in there seems particularly novel.
Right.
But it combines things that they've used before. I really do like that Geller Field Collapse mission where you can move and shoot through the warp tear zones.
Yeah.
That is so much fun.
That's our next game.
That is our next game. We're going to play that one next, and we'll talk about that. That just seems like a lot of fun. if I'm being perfectly honest. Okay. So aside from the missions, and all that, we also have 2 data sheets at the end. I don't want to go into too much detail about these, because you can look that up for yourself. But Vashtorr has some cool abilities, and I wanted to talk quickly about those. He has something that he can select something to focus on at the start of or during your command phase.
Right.
He can do unholy mechanisms. So that lets them select a traitor Astartes demon engine. And at the start of your next command phase, each time that model makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll, which is nice. But the next one goes to the machine.
I love that name.
Yeah. Select an enemy unit with an 18, and have the range characteristic of weapons of models in that unit.
That could be real big.
That's pretty sweet, right?
Yeah.
When you the last one though is Agonized Machine Spirits. Select an enemy vehicle with an 18. You have the move characteristics of models in that unit.
And attacks characteristics.
Oh, and attacks. Sorry, and attacks characteristics. So that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that actually could be real big.
That could really help you slow things down and stop people from charging you when you don't want to be charged. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, he's got this model has some really fun little rules. We're not going to go into them, but you know, they are pretty fun. And who do we? Oh, we all have Azrael also.
We have Azrael. Yep, his giant hat provides a 4-up invuln save to friendly units, Dark Angels, core, and character units within 6. Or no, sorry, the hat. The hat is a 4-up invuln save for Dark Angels, infantry, and bikers within 6 inches. He gets 2 additional command points because he's awesome. He can deny the witch because he's got the Watcher in the Dark. Yeah. He's a chapter master, so he has all the chapter master like buffs. Yeah. And he's got an iron halo. He's pretty cool. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. His hat.
He's a delight. Sweet. He's got the sword. He's got the bolt gun. Bop, 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 bop. Plasma gun. He's great. All right. So that is Vashtorr. It's a pretty cool book. Buy it if you want all those missions.
Yeah.
And honestly, the missions are pretty cool. You know, go ahead and spend $400 on books just to play boarding actions. It's fine. I am recommending that.
Yeah. Well, I'm an academic. I have so many books. It's not funny. So yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. But those are cool missions. I really like those. All right, let's take a quick break and come back, and we're going to talk about the game we played. Now, we didn't play a Vashtorr mission. We played a
Angron mission.
Yeah. And in actuality, like, I jumped the gun. I had intended on talking about the mission before talking about the show note, before talking about Vashtorr, but it's fine.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Let's come back and talk about our game.
Come here, boy, get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him Zotabix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, Zotabix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotabix.
Yes, you had.
Zotabix is made in part from grade A Astra Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins and minerals harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert depths. Zotabix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
What is the Anime Plummet?
Yeah, this isn't your same old podcast you hear week to week.
Cartoon podcast.
Yeah, we podcast about the trash, about the shit that
So
no
it's
one
a
else
good
wants to
time
talk
down in
about.
the muck.
Podcast
That's what we
about
specialize
anime
in.
on the not so safe for work side.
Trashy alternative.
That's the literal garbage.
Watching things that are bad?
This is the podcast you can't tell your friends about because we cover so much smut and garbage that just isn't covered on other shows.
He's old Mexican.
All
so.
the trashy isekais. Yeah, that's what I expected
do
as
that.
well.
Yeah, I can do that as well.
Listen to it. Don't take it too seriously. It's
That's,
just cartoons.
How would I describe this podcast? It's aight.
Check out the Anime Plummet podcast, part of the Anime Summit Podcast Network. Why are you laughing at me?
Welcome back. So we wanted to play Void the Ship from Angron. I thought it seemed interesting. The basis of it was there. We talked about it in the last episode. There's one room that has doors connected to it that are airlocks. So the room is basically outer space.
Yeah.
And if you opened those airlocks, the attacker opened those airlocks, they score for the attacker. If the airlocks remain closed, the scores for the defender. And it also had to slay the warlord for I think 10 points. So it was 30 points per door or something, and then 10 points for warlord. As the attacker, what did you take, Jason?
All right, so I took the Changeling as my HQ because I have a Changeling on my Crusade list that I've never played. I have a Changeling.
But you still haven't played him yet, in my opinion.
You're not wrong. I even have the Changeling painted up. I think I finished painting him the first couple of months of quarantine. All right, and I took 3 Flamer squads, and basically my list isn't legal. I completely zoned out during list building, and I just made a mistake.
It's fine. It was both good and bad for you.
Yeah.
So essentially what it is in boarding actions, you can't take units of more than 5 unless it's supposed to be more than 5,
right?
Like
you
base.
Break them.
Yeah. So if you have a 10 model unit, you can take it, but you have to break it in half.
Yeah.
Unless it has a special rule that says you don't have to.
Yeah. And then with
and
Flamers,
Flamers are units of 3, and they can't double up.
right?
So they couldn't get to 6 and then go 5 and 1.
Yeah.
So they would have to be in units of 3.
Yeah.
So
I
you did
completely.
units of 6 and 5, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I said, I zoned out, and plus, I didn't want to run horrors because I just kind of didn't want to think about splitting them. Plus, I hate trying to pronounce the word horror because some of my friends who might be on this call have made fun of the way that I pronounce the word horrors whenever I'm not working at it. Yeah.
Why are we suddenly demonetized on YouTube? I don't get it. So I finally brought the Rogue Trader Vera Van Vranken.
Yeah.
The enhancement I picked for her was defensive linchpin.
Yeah.
So units within 6 inches can hold steady when they overwatch. I thought that was cool. I took the 2 Voidsman squads. From the ones from the Kill Team models. And I took 3 of the Scion squads. So Breacher Squad Arpheus, Kelm, and Purgation Squad Shev. The Breacher squads have Plasma and Melta.
Yep.
The Purgation squads have Volley guns and Plasma. So Arpheus, I spent 2 requisition points to bump them up to 10 models. Because it had to be done. I can't. The points of these models are so low that my my force org fills up before my points do.
Yeah, that happens actually with me in the
Right.
demons. Like I can't get to 500 points,
Right.
with Zinch only.
Right. So here's the thing. So we're gonna just to round it off. I also took Warwick Scouts again. They
Yes.
did a good job, and a sentry. I decided to pick up a sentry turret, even though this mission doesn't specify one because it is from a totally different book. So
Yeah.
we're
That's
thinking
cool.
we're gonna refactor some of our units to
Mhm.
better suit boarding actions,
Yeah.
because again we've been using our custom Zone Mortalis rules up to this point, and so we didn't build these armies with boarding actions in mind.
Yeah.
So Jason's gonna fix his flamer squad sizes,
Yeah.
among a few other things, and I'm probably gonna increase the sizes of these some of these squads so I can actually take them.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get on. We talked about the mission. So deployment was interesting. I had to deploy all along, like near the airlocks.
Right.
And I had one deployment zone for like a scouting position. So I started the game with 3 units of the Scions at the starting zones and another unit in 2 units in the starting zones and 1 unit in scouting, and I left the last board edge one to the snipers. And all I was able to scout ahead with my regimental doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
So I scouted ahead, and I was able to open the doors and start shooting turn 1. And when I moved them up and I opened the doors, and then I brought on the rest of my army at the end of that movement phase.
Yeah.
On turn 1. That's it. I didn't really do much. I put a lot of the 3-up save is crazy. So I didn't really do a whole lot in shooting that at that point.
Well, you did take out a couple of things. Like
wounded
a guy.
Yeah, I wounded a guy, I killed 1 flamer, but that was it.
All right. Then I went ahead and ran Warp Storm effects. I gotta remember to do this.
Mhm.
Which Warp Storm effects, you basically roll 8d6. For every 4-up, that is your Warp Storm effect pool. And so I automatically went with Deluge of Fire, which adds +1 to the ballistic skill of your Zinch character, or your Zinch
which
models.
actually matters to you now.
Yeah, because I don't have auto hits anymore. But with +1, honestly, who cares?
Yeah, it might as well be.
Yeah. So I did move all my units forward. This is my first game with the Changeling ever. And as Adam said, is it really your first game? It's even a game. I didn't even realize they had a 6-inch movement. I thought they were a 12-inch movement, but that's fine. That's good. First Flamer group shot, removed 3 Scions. Even with the Flamer nerf, that's still a ridiculous number of hits and wounds.
Right, and you only killed 3.
Yeah.
Because those 3 were visible. The rest were around the corner. Yeah. Or else they would have all been dead.
Oh, and then the second Flamer unit shot and scored 17 wounds, which just removed that unit. It was just like...
Right. Yeah, because I didn't hide them.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah.
That was nasty.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, they're in plastic, and I've got plastic. I've got metal ones also. All right, then we're on to turn 2.
Turn 2. So the remains of Unit Shev blocked the airlock. I wanted to just delay you as long as possible.
Yeah.
I knew I was just going to have to throw bodies at you to stop the success. On that side, the snipers, the voidsmen, and the turret set on Overwatch. So just waiting for you to come out of that door.
Yeah.
On the other side, the other half of Squad Orpheus and the Squad Kelm set up to pour fire into the flamers. So the front unit of flamers that was coming through. Squad Orpheus used the supercharged Laz. stratagem from, I think it was the Angron book, which has the Astra Militarum stratagems in it. It'll do 1 mortal wound in addition when you roll 6s to wound.
Yeah.
And Squad Chev, I used heads down, so that lets you actually shoot more ranks. They can shoot through models in their own unit. They don't have to fan out.
Yeah.
So I had them all clumped at the door, and I needed to use that so everybody could shoot. Both units with their combined firepower killed 1 flamer.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, it wasn't a legal list. And I felt
it's not. It's the same thing. It just, I think Scions are great for killing anything with an armor save.
Yeah, these guys are just like, that's fine. Attacker, warp storm effect. I took Deluge of Fire again, +1 to hit. Movement. Standard movement for 2 squads, but the third movement used the insubstantial entities stratagem to walk through a wall, which we talked about earlier, which I said was the best stratagem. The wall walkers, which I have now called them, they scored 5 wounds because there wasn't. I think I rolled really bad. Like, I think I had only 3 of them could shoot. For the D6 +3, I rolled 1s for all 3. So yeah,
you didn't roll very well, and did I have anybody? I think I had people survive that one.
No, they removed the unit.
Oh, that's right. They killed them with just enough.
Just barely. Enough. And then the second flamer group scored 23 wounds and removed that unit. And the third flamer, I think you had 2 or 3 in that, and you're just like, I'm not rolling. So
there were 2 models, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of wounds on there. So
Yep. So, and you didn't show your face, so there wasn't any Overwatch.
Yeah.
So on my turn 3, all I did was stand still and set Overwatch. I didn't say, I kind of fanned out so I could have more models shooting.
Yeah.
Because again, you can't shoot through models in your own unit. So I stood there and I set Overwatch. Nothing else. I just waited for you to peek your head around the corner.
So I rolled Deluge of Fire for the Warp Swim effect again. I moved all flamers within moving and Overwatch range. Let's see what happens. One group of flamers was moved within Overwatch of 3 units, and I expected it to take some damage, and it was 1 dead flamer. So
1 dead flamer. I did forget that so I used I forget the name of the stratagem, but there's a stratagem for hitting on 5s in Overwatch. And also the Voidsman in the one room was next to the Rogue Trader, so she passed on the 5+ Overwatch to that unit.
That's right.
It didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I did forget that if you're within 12 inches, the Voidsmen get 2 hits on hit rolls of 6.
Oh, nice.
But
okay.
I don't think that would have mattered. The actual Voidsmen, not the Scions.
Okay. So I fired on the Voidsman guarding the Rogue Trader with the flamers inside the room. Those Voidsmen were gone.
They disappeared, yes.
Yeah. And then I fired on the Rogue Trader, and I managed to put 2 wounds out of 5 saves on there.
Yeah, I had you put 7 wounds on, and I made 5 saves.
Oh, was that it? Okay, yeah.
That was, it was really good. She saved like a boss.
So then there was a unit of flamers I threw in the big room. They were being overwatched by the Sentry, the Voidsman, the Rattlings. They threw I split fire, 1 wound on the Sentry, 8 wounds on the Voidsman, and 4 wounds on the Rattlings.
Yeah. The Rattlings had 2 models left.
Yeah.
Or 1 model left.
I think it was 2. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
2.
Yeah.
Either way, they kind of got away.
Yeah.
The Sentry gun just took some damage, and the Voidsmen just were wiped out.
Yeah.
On turn 4, my Rogue Trader hit the button hit the override with her control wand on the airlock and said, "I'll see you in hell," and she goes out the airlock.
Yeah.
I like to think that a Rogue Trader captain would be wearing a rebreather and a pressure suit at all times on a ship if she's wandering around during a battle.
But it's going to be like some really ornate thing that doesn't actually look like one. Like there'll be all these other cool relics. So
right, this model is the one with the veil on her face.
maybe that's
I could see that. Some really cool like tech, like nanotech cloth that she can she sucks it into her mouth and it just it's connected to some kind of airway or something.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah, that was not good for me.
No.
I lost literally everything.
And so what I wanted to do is because one, I screwed up that army build real bad. And I think that this, instead of being like a mission that actually affects outcomes, I think this should be like a nightmare from which the rogue trader wakes up screaming like this is completely whatever. But it gives her, I think she should get marked for greatness and experience just for having this almost foretelling nightmare.
I can see that. I appreciate that. I like your idea where this kind of gives her that premonition that of the kind of the area where the enemy is headed.
Yeah.
So the first mission was, the last mission was, okay, if I win, we're gonna let the Votan into the battle for the where the summoning ritual is taking place. This is a good narrative reason why the rogue trader would know where to go. So maybe she and her retinue will show up at that fight.
Yeah.
I like that. So the next battle, we're doing the teleportarium. And I think maybe this is a good one for whoever wins the teleportarium, or not the Gellerfield battle.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the Gellerfield battle gets to use one of those warp portals to deep strike 1 or 2 units during that game.
Yeah, that works.
I think that should be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Great. That will be a fun game. I enjoy playing games with you, Jason. I hope we can play. I definitely want to play that one from Vashtorr for the next.
Yeah, that's definitely happening.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and close out the show.
Hey Archons, does 9th edition have you feeling like the Slith Party Bus just doesn't have enough party for you? Well, if you want to put a little shock back into your shock brow, you need the Slith Party On! That's right, Archons. For 736 points, you can take 3 Archons, 12 Slith, and a Tantalus. It's the Slith Party On! Now, I know what you're thinking. Couldn't I take Drazar, 15 Incubi, and a Tantalus, a.k.a. the Incubi Murder Boat, for 51 less points? Sure, you could, but it wouldn't be the Slith Party On! But is it legal? Oh, yeah! Is it awesome? Oh yeah! Is it any good on the table? No! It's the all-new Slith Party On. Sort of awesome. Party On! Really hilarious. Party On! It's the Slith Party On!
Oh. We've reached level 6. Welcome back. How you feeling, Jason?
Doing all right.
Yeah, hanging in there?
Typing as quietly as possible.
I'm hanging in there. So next time we're going to do that mission, and we're also going to try to talk about the new, kind of catch up on Arks of Omen before we...
Adepticon it up.
Go to Adepticon. When it will release, I can't say. But it will release at some amorphous time in the future.
Yeah.
But I believe our first episode for April should be our Adepticon episode. And we'll try to get some of our friends to talk on the internet with us. I think that'll be good. We did that last time, right?
Last time Adepticon, I think we did have some interviews. I am bringing more microphones to Adepticon. I'm bringing an interface, my laptop, and a couple of mics and cables. So,
yeah, we see if we can get an Englishman to talk about Epic.
Oh yeah, John. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure definitely. We can.
I'm sure we can. Maybe we can get a California hiker or a California mountain biker with a sexy voice to talk about Titanicus and various other awesome folks. Hopefully. Anyways,
I'm pretty sure we can get a Canadian too.
Yes.
Yeah. Collect the entire set.
Yes. Until then,
play the game the way you want to. What? No into commentary?
No, I don't do that.
The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission. This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge.
And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
If you'd like to engage with us directly, you can always join our Discord server.
To do so, or if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor,
contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com.
Please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/mastersoftheforge. Thanks.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.